Good morning, Chavrusa Daffers. Today we are going to be learning in honor of my son, whose birthday is today. He turned 6.
Wow, what's his name?
Gavriel. We are very proud of him. And he got best in learning, so it's very apropos that we learned because he got best in learning, and we're going to be getting best in learning right now.
Happy birthday, Gavriel.
All right.
We are up to Daf Vav. Well, he's 6 years old. Daf Daled. And we're trying to figure out an approach to how the father has the rights to the money of a naira, a 12-year-old's Kiddushin.
Yep, let's find out. So far we haven't been able to find anything. Let's try to find it.
Rather, we can indeed derive the father's rights from the words "no money." Right? There was a pasuk. Wow, this guy, you're holding.
You said you did it in first year Medrash.
I don't know if I did. Yeah, maybe the first part.
Yeah. This one's a famous one. So she goes out for free. This is talking about an Alma of Riyah, and there's no money. So it's like, what do you mean? You say she's going out for free. What's no money? So it's extra.
Right.
Superfluous. So let's see how we're going to use it.
No money from this master, but the other master. Okay.
Right.
For it is probable that when the pasuk excludes the departure of Kiddushin from the law of the maidservant's departure, right?
Yitzia to Kavasa Kamamai, a departure of Kiddushin which is similar to the departure of maidservant is excluded. That is, the verse conveys that when a maidservant departs her master, no money is given to the one whose jurisdiction she departs, right? There's no money given to the master. When, however, an ordinary naira departs from her father and she becomes betrothed, engaged, money is indeed given to the one whose jurisdiction she departs, her father, which is exactly what Ein Kesef Al Zel, Yesh Kesef Al Na'acher meant.
What does it mean? A departure of Kiddushin which is similar to the departure of a maidservant is excluded. What departure of Kiddushin is similar to a maidservant where there's no money?
It's the fact that there's a girl leaving one person's domain, and now there's a girl leaving another person's domain.
Okay.
Right? In the Amavriya, she's leaving the master, but a father and a daughter, the daughter's leaving the father to go with the husband. So in one case, there is money that's exchanged, and the other one, there's no money.
For it is probable that when the pasuk excludes the departure of Kiddushin from the law of the maidservant's departure, the departure of Kiddushin, which is similar to the departure of a maidservant, is excluded. Oh, it is excluded from the no money. Oh, okay. Similar to how we said before, in a sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Should we see note 1? Maybe it'll help us explain it a bit further. Just as a Amavriya departs her master's jurisdiction when she is emancipated, so too an ordinary naira departs her father's jurisdiction when she becomes betrothed. Hence, just as in the former case, the specification that Ein Kasef be given, that no money be given, is clearly directed towards the maidservant's master. It's the pasuk talking about her, Ein Kasef, right? It says Ein Kasef. So too in the latter case, the implied exclusion that money should be given in another departure. So, because it's very specifically saying there's no money here. So where is the other case? By the father. Again, I agree. It seems like exactly what we were saying like a daf ago. So are we going to have the same questions? I would presume. Okay. The Gemara challenges the notion that the law of Naira's Kiddushin can be deduced from the verse of the maidservant's departure. Why are you saying that this departure is same? It's not. It's not similar. Hassan by an Amavriya when she gets freed. Nafkala Mauritius Adoim Legamri. She leaves the jurisdiction of her master completely. There's no more connection. Vahacha, in the case of the Naira's Kiddushin, Akati Mechasra Mesir Chapa. She still lacks being given over for Chapa. This is just the first stage of marriage, which is Kiddushin. She didn't do Nisuin yet, and until then, she has not completely left her father's jurisdiction. How then can the verse regarding the maidservant be said to exclude a case of a Naira's Kiddushin? Two cases are not comparable.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll tell you why. Because with regard to Nidarim, the Naira has indeed left her father's jurisdiction, for he no longer has the power to annul for he no longer has the power to annul her vows alone. The Tanan Naira HaMeirasa Avia Ubaila Mefir Nidarim. Once a girl is a Naira Merasa, her husband and her father are needed to be made for her Nidarim.
So hence, since a Naira departs her father's jurisdiction at Kiddushin, in at least this respect, the laws of her Kiddushin can indeed be derived from the pasuk of the maid servant.
Yeah.
So you're right. She still lacks being given over for chuppah, but in terms of Hafaras Nadarim,
she's left her father. Well, she hasn't left. She still needs.
Well, part of her Hafer annulment goes over to the husband. So in some respects, she did leave, and that's enough to compare it to the Adon and learn out that there's money that goes to the father.
Yeah.
Okay. The Gemara now objects that the phrase "and she shall go out for free, no money" cannot serve as a source for laws of Kiddushin, since these words are needed to teach a different law.
Yatzachina in Kasef is used for something else. Okay. I have a high Yatzachinam lahachivda asa. Does it really come to teach us that the father gets the Kesef Kiddushin? Hami boile chidatan. It's needed for something else. We taught in a brisa that a Maria automatically gains her freedom when she becomes a Naira. Detanya v'yatzachinam. She got for free. Eilame bagras. These are the referring to when a maidservant's days of bagras. In Kasav eilame nairas. In Kasav is referring to the days of Nairas. We find then that these phrases are needed to teach for the emancipation of Nairas. Otherwise, we wouldn't know that she's free when she becomes a Naira, only when she becomes a Bagaris. Unless they're no longer available as a source for the laws of Kiddushin through money. Right, we already said a girl becomes a Naira at 12 and a Bagaris 6 months later, 12 and a half.
So there was a brisa that used this pasuk to teach that when it says ein kesef, when it says she should go out for free v'yatzachinam, that's for a bigeres. Ein money, ein kesef, that's to teach that a naira goes out for free.
Yeah.
So you cannot darshan this pasuk to teach you that a naira, a father of a naira, gets money. We needed to teach you that a naira goes free. Amar Ravina.
Okay. If it were so that the only time a maidservant's emancipation may be deduced. Oh, sorry. If it were so that only the time of a maidservant's emancipation may be deduced, and you can't use it to teach anything else. Lema kra ein kasef. So just say ein kasef, meaning don't say
without the yud.
Without the yud. My ein kasef. So what is it by the extra yud? Ein kasef on zeh. Avish kasef acher. Umayniu. So basically now we're saying that where are we learning from? We're learning it from the extra yud in ein kasef. It could have just said ein kasef without a yud. The extra yud comes to teach.
Yeah, every letter is precious. So if we can deduce from ein kesef without a yud that naira goes free, then that would be fine. The fact that it has a yud teaches us that the father of a naira, Taka, does get the Kiddushin money.
I'm just a little confused because I think, isn't like the typical spelling of ein in the Torah?
Yeah, so maybe every
With
time.
a yud?
Yeah, so maybe every time there's a yud, we dash in something.
I would think the opposite. If there wasn't a yud, people would be like, "Why is there not a yud?" Oh, because it's teaching you.
No, because you don't know that every time there's a yud, someone dash in something from it.
Okay.
And the few times it doesn't have a yud, maybe, which I'm assuming, we don't dash in something.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never questioned one time seeing no yud. Why is it any different? So now the Gemara is going to search for a precedent, something we just touched upon.
Okay.
As for the inclusion of the word yud,
here we go.
of the letter yud in the word ein.
Umay Darshin and Hachi. Oh, Rosh
Chodesh breakfast. Rosh Chodesh breakfast.
Umay Darshin and Hachi. Where does it know that we may expound the Torah in this way? The Tanya. The Zera Ein La, regarding a Kohen's daughter. My wife is a Kohen's daughter. Who was widowed or divorced from a marriage.
And
So
the
no.
comparison ends here. Thank you for playing the comparison game.
Yeah, especially in Yivamis, it's not good to start telling because then you're talking about like your sisters marrying your other brothers and.
This guy makes comparisons without reading the full sentence.
All right, a Kohen's daughter who is widowed or divorced from a marriage to a non-Kohen. V'zera ein la, the Torah states, she will have no children. She shall return to her father's house. From these words, ein li elazara, I only know that the existence of her own children from the marriage are caused to prevent her from eating her father's truma. But zera zara minayin, from where it is known that even her grandchildren from this marriage served to prevent her from eating
so the
truma.
Kohen had a daughter, and the daughter was widowed or divorced?
She was married to a non-Kohen, like me. Okay?
Stop bringing yourself into this.
What?
Okay.
And then I die.
Kohen and a wife, they have a daughter
At 120.
who's married to a non-Kohen.
Yeah.
And she's divorced from that non-Kohen.
And she gets divorced or that non-Kohen dies.
So the pasuk says she will
But
have
she has
no
kids.
children, so she would.
If she has no children, then she could go back to her father's house and eat in the truma.
Okay.
But if she has children, she can't go back to her father's house and eat truma because yes, the kids are not allowed to eat it, or she's also not allowed to eat it. Right. So note 8: when a Kohen's daughter marries a non-Kohen, she may no longer eat of truma. The above verse, however, states that after she has been divorced or widowed from such a marriage, she may once again eat the truma of her father's house, but providing that there are no surviving children from her union with a non-Kohen. Okay, so but how do we know if she has grandchildren that it also doesn't allow her? That even if her child had already died, let's say this person had a child, then it died, but she has grandchildren from that child.
Oh, if the child dies, then she can go back?
No. So basically, now she's a bubby already, but then her husband dies. Now imagine also that this woman, her only child died, but that child, before they died, had a few children. So she has grandkids. So can she now go back to her father's house? I guess, wow, he's an Altazeda, and eat truma. Well, that's it. That's the question. So now it says more ainly elzazar, and says minayin Talmud Leimar zera ein la, because the Torah spells the word in with the yud, including the yud. We learn ayin la, examine her, meaning check if she has grandchildren before allowing to her children. If she has grandchildren, she can't.
I have a question on that.
Go back and eat.
Here we're darshaning the yud because it's like teaching the word ayin to examine. So that's why we want the yud. So we are darshaning it. But like where we were using the yud, it was just extra. So then we said let's darshan something else. But it wasn't like applicable to the very word of ain, which is like ayin.
Seemingly, yes.
But yes, the extra yud does teach us something, and that's what we were looking for.
Yeah. Okay. The ain li ela zera kosher. And the price continues. I only know if it's zera kosher that prevents her from eating truma. Zera apostle in ayin. If she had zera apostle, how do I know that also doesn't allow her to eat truma? Talmud Leimar zera ain la. She'll have no children. Spell the word ain with a yud. So it says ayin la. Also, we must examine whether she has any offspring, even illicit ones, before allowing her to eat truma. Since the Brisa derives these rulings from the inclusion of a yud in the word ain, precedent for this kind of expedition has been found. So basically, here we go. You could learn out an extra yud.
Wait, didn't we already use that yud?
So we're using the same yud, basically to teach you the whole thing. You always just look to see if she has kids. Look to see if she has grandkids. Look to see if she has illicit children. It's not like it could be. It's all encompassing. Look deeper. Don't just look if she has kids, but look at all kinds of kids, grandkids, illicit children from somewhere else. Well, I picked Elazar. Eli asked the Gemara's question. What do you mean? We already used this yud to teach you about grandchildren. How can we also use the same yud to teach the laws of Zera Apostle? So the more answer is Zera Zara. Look, it's your krab etzim. You don't need a pasuk to teach you that her grandchildren prevent her from eating truma. The b'nei banim harekin banim. Grandchildren, we know, are considered like children. Ki itzir kra l'Zera Apostle. So b'etzim, you only really need the pasuk for Zera Apostle.
Mimanav shach. The yud is darshan, and also this yud is it's ma'ayin. Okay, fine.
I have a ton of gufay minoli to dar shachi. Okay, where does the Tana himself know? Right, we just brought this this Mishnah or Brisa. I don't know where the Brisa is. Somewhere. We brought this Brisa. So how did that Tana know?
Yeah, how do we know that we're able to darshan the letter?
Yeah. Who says so? The more answer that this can be deduced from the scripture itself, where the expression "ain" sometimes appears without a yet. Amri, they say, "Ksiv me'ain bil'am u me'ain yivami." The Torah says "me'ain bil'am, ein yivami." The loy ksiv b'yad, v'hacha ksiv b'yad. Here it says yad. Shema mina l'darsha udasa. Obviously, you see it's not essential. So now, if you're having it, you could learn. That's basically what you said. This was. So he already asked the question. He knew the answer.
I didn't. I was mechaven passion.
Your mind just remembers from first year basement.
I don't know if I did this first year as much.
You didn't get to Daf Daled?
I don't know if we started.
You skip. You know, like you skip in yeshiva. They skip.
This is not a yeshiva daf.
Doesn't seem like it, but what did we do in I think I remember doing
Maybe. No,
you know, like
this particular daf is not a yeshiva daf. They don't.
Saying it's not so. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like.
You have to get there. You gotta get there.
I don't know. I have my Gemara.
You know, like if the Rebbe says we're skipping this daf, everyone wants to learn it.
Yeah,
it's the best.
That's a big no-no.
So Shachris at 9:30, right?
9:30 chakras.
Yes.
All
right. So Vaiter. According to the outcome of the Gemara earlier, the father's rights to the Nair's Kiddushin and his rights to the products of her labor are derived from two separate verses, right? So what are they? We learned Kesef Kiddushin from Ein Kasef, from the Yud in Ein Kasef, right? And we learned the rights to the products of her labor are deduced from Chiyim Kardish Es B'Tay Lama.
The father's rights to a Nair's Kiddushin and his rights to the products of her labor are derived from two separate.
Right, if she works, or her paycheck. He gets the rights to her paycheck if she's a katana.
Okay.
So the Gemara now proceeds to show why one law cannot have simply been deduced from the other. V'etzrich l'mechtav kedusha la'aviyah, v'etzrich l'mechtav ma'aseh yadeha la'aviyah. We need both psukim. Why? The Kasa Rachmana Kiddusha Halavia. If the Torah had only written that the money Kiddushin goes to the father with Ein Kosev, that actually had Havamina Misham Deli Tarchabu. You know why? Misvara would say because the father gets this because she doesn't work for this money to go get married. Havamaisi a dead Tarchabu. Ema Dida Hava would say maybe that they remain hers. That's why we need a separate pasuk. V'yashmin and Maisi Adel. And if I would only have the pasuk about that the father gets the Maisi Yadayim, the Kamzin Samina, I would say, because she is sustained by him. He has to feed her, therefore it makes sense that he gets her paycheck, she has to give him the paycheck. But the money of Kiddushin which comes to her from elsewhere, I would suppose that it is hers. Therefore we need both psukim. Right, note 16 explains it a bit further. Since it is probable that a daughter would earn some income, it follows that a father would expect to retain this income in consideration of his expenses in sustaining her. The money of Kiddushin, however, is far less steady source of income, and is thus unlikely that the father would anticipate receiving it as compensation.
Right, that's father's anticipation.
Thus, if the Torah had written only that the products of labor go to the father, it could not necessarily be deduced that his rights extend even to the money of Kiddushin.
So anticipation is an important piece here in this part. Before it was about labor, it's work, so there it's not anticipation, it's sustenance, so then I'm sustaining you, so I should get it. Okay, very good. So we need both. The Gemara cites the text of the Brisa side above and analyzes it. Gufa.
Here we go.
The Yatzachinam, the Pasuk says, and she shall go out for free. Elu Yemei Bagros. These words refer to a maidservant's day of Bagros. Ein Kasav Elu Yemei Nairis. These words refer to her days of Nairis. The Brisa teaches that once a maidservant reaches Nairis, she automatically gains her freedom. Let the Torah only phrase without money, without teaching. I don't need. Once she's free as a Naira and she's 12, of course, it's self-evident she may no longer be in servitude by the time she's a full adult. This phrase, and she shall go out for free, comes and elucidates the meaning of the following phrase without money and teaches that the latter indeed refers to Nairis. Zakrashi 18, since it never stated explicitly at what stage of development the maidservant must be emancipated, this law is deduced only by process of elimination. This means that if only one of the two phrases has been written, only the latest possible stage, Bagros, would have been deduced. Now, however, that two phrases are written, it is evident that one of them must refer to the earlier stage of Nairis.
Yeah, right, makes sense.
Midi dehava atoishav v'sacher. Rabbah cites evidence that a given phrase of pasuk may sometimes serve only to elucidate another. It is comparable to the words toishav and sacher, the terms used by the pasuk to characterize two types of Hebrew servants
I don't remember what those are.
owned by a Kayan.
Do you remember what those are?
No.
Well, that's cool. We have our article note. The Torah says that a Jew who is sold by the court into servitude must be released by his master after 6 years of service, right? The earring guy.
Yeah.
If, however, the servant still wishes to remain under his master, he may do so, but he must first submit to a process known as ritzia, in which his right ear is pierced with an awl. A servant who undergoes this process is known as a nirtza. Hallel nirtza, and is required to serve until his master dies or until the onset of the Yovel year. The Brisa goes on to explain that the scriptural term sachir is taken to refer to a servant whose initial term of service has not yet expired. So he's the guy sachir, 6. Okay. The term toishav is taken to denote a servant who has undergone ritzia and must now serve an additional extended period. Toishav is like living, right? So that's all I remember.
I thought Toishav was like returning.
Like, yeah?
No, that's no, I don't know.
A toishav means like a dweller.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you're staying here. And a
And
sachir,
sachir
it's like renting, so it's
renting,
temporary,
right.
you know? Or sachir, 6. Okay. So, we have a toishav and sachir. The Tanya. Toishav is that kanu kinyan. That's talking about a nirtza. And it teaches that he may not eat of his master's truma. Sachir is that kanu kinyan shanim. He only has it for 6 years, and it teaches that this servant too may not eat of his master's truma. The Torah thus prohibits both types of concerns from eating truma. So, do we have the full pasuk? It would be nice to see that.
Yeah, it's on the side, no?
Cholzar lo yoichal kodesh, toishav kohen, v'sachir lo yoichal kodesh.
Where do you see that?
I am note 20. So it outlines the ruling that a non-Kohen, is forbidden to eat truma, and including it in this Isser, the non-Kohen servants of a Kohen, both the Toishav and a Sachir, and it spells it out. Cholzar leichel kodesh. So that's like any Jew that's not a Kohen can eat kodesh. Toishav Kohen, the Sachir leichel kodesh. Okay, so that's how we know. Now the Brisa continues.
Hold on. So Toishav, this word refers to a servant whose acquisition is an everlasting one, and teaches them he not eat of his master truma. Sachar zakana kinyan shnayim. Sachar, this word refers to a servant whose acquisition is only for a number of years, and teaches that a servant too may not eat of his master's trumas. The pasuk prohibits both types of. Okay, fine.
So now Yemer Toishav Yemer Sachir. So same question as we had in our Gemara with just say Nairos, I don't need Bagaris, right? So just say the Toishav and don't say the Sachir. Vani Omer kanu kinyan olam ena, and I will deduce that if a servant who's temporary can't eat of his master's truma, then kanu kinyan shanim like Kolshkin. Certainly, if he's going to be his master for forever now or until the Yovel, certainly he can't eat truma. My answer is no. Ilu came. if only Taishav was written, I would have said it Taishav refers to someone who's only for a few years, right? I would have to take the pasuk to learn, the easiest thing to learn, which is just the 6-year guy. I might then go ahead and say that maybe that guy could eat.
We only know a Taishav is a Taishav because we have Sachar.
Exactly. The Torah has to therefore say, Bas Sachir, V'limin al Taishav, She'afal Pisha Kanakin and Eilam, and that's why we have both of them there. Right? Precedent has thus been found for the concept that one phrase of scripture may be written only to elucidate the meaning of another. Yishmach the Gemara, no? I wonder if there's other cases like this in the Torah. It makes sense. All right. Omar le'bai.
So that was, how did Rava came along and said it?
Oh, again, we gotta keep who's talking here. We should have figurines, and whoever's talking, we put that guy down. Rob is talking.
We need to know in advance who's in the daf.
All right. So maybe one of your sons can do some Lego for us, and
well, it's your son's birthday.
Oh, and I actually got him a Lego set. Got a surf house. All right.
So Gemara wanted to know, how do we know? Right, just teach Nair, so you wouldn't know, and you wouldn't need Bagras. You wouldn't need to teach it. So comes along, no, it elucidates. So Rava was the Baz Zeh V'limit al Zeh.
Yeah.
Abaya challenges Rava's answer.
Amar le by Midami is the psukim about the Kohen servants, the Tosh V'Sachar, comparable to the Amavriyas of an Iron Bagaras. Hassam, Trey Gufininu. The two separate entities, a servant who's a Nirtza and a servant who's not a Nirtza. And both may exist in the house of a Kohen at the same time. Therefore, even had the Torah explicitly stated the types of servants to which it referred and written, a Toshev Nirtza, it literally says the word Nirtza, cannot eat Truma, Hadar Kasav Idach, and then written that the other type of servant, a non-Nirtza, shall not eat Truma, there would have been no difficulty. For the restriction upon the Sachir is merely something that could have been learned from a Kal V'Chaimer. And we have a principle that something that could have been learned from a Kal V'Chaimer, the Torah may take the trouble to write explicitly sometimes. It will do that. Okay? So just because you can learn something from Kal V'Chaimer doesn't mean the Torah is not going to say it explicitly. But by the Amavriya, Chad Gufahi, she's one entity, she's one person. Ki nafkla b'nairas. Once she is departed from her master, Nairas, Bagras my boy Kabe. What is she still doing in this jurisdiction when she's an adult? She's not, right? Indeed, there can never be a maidservant who departs as a boigeres, because she's already out as a nair. Hence, we cannot argue that the Torah mentions something which never takes place. Right? Basically, becoming free as a boigeres never takes place. In order to shed light on the following phrase. So that actually, I hear this is a big difference.
I need to read it through. It's a little bit. By Midam, is the pasuk concerning the client's servants really comparable to the pasuk of the maidservant's emancipation? Hasam there in the former case of the client's servants, Trey Gufininu. They are two separate entities. A servant who is a nertza and a servant who is not a nertza, and both may exist in the house of the client at the same time. Aren't they the same person though?
No, that's the thing. You could have two servants.
Therefore, even had the Torah explicitly stated that the types of servants to which it referred and written, a Toshev Nirtza shall not eat Truma, and never in that other type of servant, a non-Nirtza shall also not eat Truma, there would have been no difficulty. For the restriction upon the Sachar, it's merely something that could have been learned from the Kal V'Chaimer. What's the Kal V'Chaimer?
Well, if a mere Nirtza can eat Truma, then certainly a guy who's living there forever is going to be able to eat Truma or the other way.
No, it's not. Not eat Truma.
So sorry. So you say by the Taishav. The Taishav doesn't eat. The Taishav The Taishav Nirtza.
Yeah.
Doesn't eat truma. Then
Certainly someone who's rented. Right. It's temporary.
Doesn't eat truma.
And we have a principle that something could have been learned from a Kavachemer. The pasuk may take the trouble to write explicitly. What does that mean?
That's just saying that sometimes the Torah will write things that are seemingly superfluous. Like, I could have learned the Kavachemer, but just saying, we have a principle. That's something that could have been learned from the Kavachemer. Still, Torah Kasol Kra. The Torah will sometimes write it out.
But okay, so what are we trying to get out of this?
We're trying to get that by okay, you'll see, because by a Bageret, now just go to Amavriya, it makes more sense.
Elahacha, but here with regards to Mason, Chad Gufi, she's only one entity. Kinafgala ben Nairis, once she has departed from her master Nairis, Bagros Mai Gabe. What is she still doing in his jurisdiction when she's an adult?
You never find a case that a woman goes out by Bageres, because she's always going to go out when she's a Naira. It never gets to that point. So what's even the Torah saying? It's completely, it's something that's never going to happen. Right? By a Taishan Asachir, yes, you can learn from a Kavachaimer, but they're each people that I want to learn that can't eat truma. Give me a case where a woman's going to go out when she's a Bageres.
Even if the Torah may at times exclude state law which could have been derived logically, the pasuk would demonstrate a law that never actually exists. Hence, since there is no such thing as a maidservant who goes free with the onset of Bageres, it is impossible that the pasuk would teach this law merely to inform us that a subsequent phrase refers to a Naira's emancipation. If Scripture had indeed wished to teach that a maidservant goes free Nairas, it should have stated this explicitly. I understand. When we were comparing this to that, we said, okay, it's saying one, so we can learn out the other. Fine. Okay, we could have learned the Sachar not eating a truma from this, but it's spoken at from a Toishav Mitzvah. But we're able to the pasuk speaks it out clearly. Now you're going to tell me the reason you know Naira is because it says Begaris. This can never have a case of Begaris. Ella Amar Abaya, having rejected Abaya's answer, Rabba's answer, Abaya's facing difficulty how to explain the pasuk's reference to emancipation at Bagris. Now advances the following explanation. Ella Amar Abaya, Leinitzcha, Ella Leveger, the islandess. The reference to emancipation at Bagris is only needed as it applies to the Bagris of an islandess. A woman who has failed to develop the physical signs of maturity, which classifies a woman as a Naira, and who exhibits some masculine characteristics that show her to be incapable of bearing children.
So basically,
when a woman who exhibits characteristics of others reaches the age of 20, she is deemed to have become an adult.
So basically, she never becomes a Naira.
So for the scripture,
she goes from Katana to Begeres.
Had only referred to emancipation Naira, so I'm going to say with the onset, Salka Daita Mina Benai's Tipuk. I'm going to say with the onset of Naira's servant is emancipated. Vagris Lay Tipuk. A maidservant is not emancipated. This being the case, an islandess who never experienced the stage of Nairis would not be set free even when she becomes an adult. And that's why the pasuk comes along and teaches you.
So basically,
Bagris as well. So it's not a case of not logical, because there is a case of it, and that's why you can learn out, and she shall go out free. For Bagris is indeed necessary, which then teaches you Naira is necessary to teach that that the father gets the Kiddushin, or not talking about that.
How far back are we going in this question? This was just, we were talking about Yatzchinim and Kasa. That when the Gemara said Elamim Nairas, Yatzchinim is Elamim Bagris and Kasa Elamim Nairas. And we had a question on that. Well, why do I need both? And now we're basically explaining that. You need both. Because there's two separate cases that this is possible that it can happen. Right? You're right.
Right.
Normally, it's always going to be a Naira.
Not money. It's going free. Right. That you need in Kasef to teach you that when she's a Naira, Chitaka does go free. And you need the first part of the pasuk to teach you that when she's a Bagra, she goes free. And according to Abai, he says that you need that for the case of an islandess.
Okay.
So we're going to end here,
Stop here.
and then We'll figure out today how to finish the Dalit Amud Beis.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Look at the video.